Um, Welcome to the first episode of That Is the Question, an educational series that is hosted by Blank Conversations Theater Company. I am Ben Muckenthaler, the educational chair of the company. We have our first guest ever, Mike Padilla. Say hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike. Oh, wait, that's me.
Yeah, there you go. So how this is going to work for everyone, if you have any questions for Mike as we go ahead and type them into the chat and it'll pop up on my screen and I can ask it for him so we don't have chaos of multiple people talking and stuff. And then I have some preset questions that I've sent to him. And then at the end, we have a little fun round of nonsense questions. All right. So for those who did not read your bio and stuff on our social media, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your professional career.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Padilla, and it's hard to describe what I do because I've touched both sides of this stage and everything in between. I have been involved in the musical theater world as a musician, as an actor, as an orchestra member, and as an educator for 35 years. I live in Tucson, Arizona. I spent 17 years in San Francisco, where I did a lot of music and theater there and did a lot of my studying there and shows. And I came back to Arizona 13 years ago. I have taught at the University of Arizona in the School of Theater. I was the musical director there. I did all the shows there. I work with a lot of local companies, professional regional theaters, and community theaters as well. And I mainly work as a musical director and pianist, but I've also done a lot of work as an actor as well. And my second career, I was a hairdresser for many years, which it looks like I may be going back to. So. You're muted, Ben. Your microphone is muted, Ben. There we go.
Yeah, I muted myself because there was background noise happening, and then I realized that Gus has to unmute me. So I won't do that again. All right, so moving on to the next question. What was your first performing experience, and when did you start performing?
Well, I started studying piano when I was 9. And so I was just studying classical piano and, I sang a little bit. Started playing in junior high, the saxophone and the flute and piccolo. And I think my very first performing was in the 8th grade. I was asked actually to music direct a show called Corn Doggy, which is a 50s rock and roll type thing. And then in high school, I was music directed Your Good Man, Charlie Brown. And then I actually got my first professional job when I was a senior in high school in Tucson, as a pianist for the Gilbert and Sullivan Company, doing the HMS Pinafore with Nancy Booth, actually, was in it. And so that was in 1983. It was my first professional job. I worked as an accompanist for many years. And then I made my leap up onto stage. My first professional acting job was with the Southern Arizona Light Opera Company, which used to perform in Tucson at the Music Hall, huge 2,000-seat theater. And I was the Lion and the Wizard of Oz. So I've had a lot of turns and dips in my career in theater. But it's been pretty amazing because I think it makes me a better musical director to have been on the acting side as well.
Yeah. So you were born and raised in Tucson, right?
I was.
Right. That's what I thought, because I remember you talking to me about San Francisco and how you wanted to come back afterwards. But
yeah.
On that note, San Francisco, I think we have some stuff in here. Kind of. So you did some work in Japan.
Yeah. Hi.
What brought you to Japan, and what did you do there?
An airplane. An airplane brought me to Japan.
What brought you career-wise to Japan?
I was a lounge lizard. I went there because I had left San Francisco for a year. I was working in doing hair during the day, and I was working in piano bars at night, where I would play piano for sing-along bars, and people would come and sing show tunes and Ethel Merman songs. Look up Ethel Merman. That's your assignment for everyone. She's the original Broadway belter, not Adina Menzel. And so when I moved to Vegas, I went to the Musicians Union the first week there. They had just 2 hours before I had an agent coming in from Tokyo looking for entertainers. So I did an audition for them. Agent came to my house and I played and sang. And a month and a half later, I was on a plane heading to Japan for 6 months. So it was an amazing experience because I was playing piano and singing in very exclusive supper clubs in these hotels. I did 3 months in Sendai, Japan, 3 months in Akita, Japan, and then the next year I went back to Nagoya, which is the third largest city. So it was a chance to go and really perfect a lot of material, because most of them, although they speak English there, they didn't know what I was singing. And it gave me a chance to learn another language, which helped me to develop my ear phonetically for things like dialect work.
Yeah.
And accents. And so I worked there playing piano. It was like a paid vacation. My first contract was 30-minute shows a night. And then my last contract was 3 30-minute shows a night. So it was like a paid vacation. I would be a sightseeing tourist during the day, and I worked as a performer in my tuxedo at night, doing standards, Gershwin, Cole Porter.
When was that?
Broadway. Sang from the Great American Songbook.
When
jazz standards. I'm sorry?
When did you do that?
94, 95, and 96.
Dang. So you were sent over there for 6 months and you stayed for 3 years?
No. My first contract was the last 3 months of 94, first 3 months of 95, and then I went back again in 96.
Oh, okay.
So you can only do a maximum stay of 6 months at that time for an entertainer contract.
Okay.
So you'd either do a 1, 3, or 6 month contract, because you'd have to do an entertainer contract, which surprisingly was the same. The entertainer's visa that you have to go there is the same one that they use for the entertainer dancers that they would bring over. So basically, me and strippers had the same visa.
Okay. Yeah.
Although I didn't strip.
Oh, okay.
Which is good for everyone.
So Peyton Womble asked in the chat, what instruments do you play, and what are some of the shows where you played in the orchestra?
I started on piano, so that's my main instrument. It's the foundation for everything. And all of you singers or anyone in musical theater, you need to learn the piano, period. The reason is, even if you can just fundamentally plunk out some notes, and there's many apps that you can use for your iPad or phones. Perfect Piano is one where you can at least plunk out your notes. If you have an audition coming up, for example, in 2 days you got an audition and you get this at midnight, how are you going to rehearse? So you need to learn how to be self-sufficient. So straying from that question, I play piano. I'm a singer, and I'm also a NATS voice teacher. It's a National Association of Teachers of Singing. And I've played flute and piccolo and alto flute professionally. I used to I was the principal flutist with the San Francisco Civic Symphony Parnassus, and I used to play flute and piccolo here with the Southern Arizona Symphony. And then in theater, I'm either in the pit as a conductor, typically playing piano and conducting at the same time. It's a rare luxury that I get to stand alone with a stick and conduct, because the way budgets are, you lose a player if you hire a standalone conductor. So they typically will have the pianist conduct nodding their head or playing with one hand and conducting with the other, which I do. So flute, piccolo, alto flute, maybe tenor sax, piano, and I sing.
Okay, I know you mentioned saxophone, but you don't play anymore? I
haven't played saxophone since the 8th grade.
Do you remember my audition for Tuck Everlasting when you had me just do Knowing Me, Knowing You? Because and I still had on my resume for some reason, even though I can't pick it up and play it probably, I still had saxophone. And I remember Nancy Davis Booth going, "Oh, saxophone." And I went, "Yeah."
If you can't play it and knock it out an audition, take it off the resume.
Yeah, I did.
Because I guarantee they will ask you to do it.
Yeah.
Or if you have a song in your book that you can't nail 10 times out of 10, take it out, because I guarantee that's the one song the least is the one they're gonna pick.
Yeah. All right. Do you have a dream project or role to work on?
I'd love in my dream world. I'd love to do every single Sondheim show written as a musical director, as a pianist. But I would like to do the entire canon because it is such challenging, smart, intelligent music.
Oh, good.
It's written for singing actors.
Yeah,
it's written conversationally, so it's very difficult to play and conduct. But it's that would be my kind of overall broad thing is the entire Sondheim canon. But I think a dream role for me might be Cosme McMoon in the show Souvenir.
Interesting.
Souvenir was a 2-person play with music that was on Broadway with Judy Kay, who's the original Madame Carlotta. She was it was the original company of Mamma Mia. She was the funny one of the trio, and her pianist. It's about Florence Foster Jenkins. She was this society woman in the 20s and 30s who fancied herself an opera singer, but she was terrible and warbled. And she actually sold out Carnegie Hall because people used to go to her concerts and to laugh. And she became this huge sensation. And Meryl Streep actually made a movie about her called Florence Foster Jenkins. But it's one of the few roles that it's for an actor who is a pianist.
Oh, yeah.
I get to use all my skills.
Yeah.
And there's another show called Murder for Chew, which are 2 actors who are also pianists, and they're playing and singing and acting at the same time. So one will be playing and the other one's doing something and singing and doing the scene, and then they switch off. And then sometimes they're playing at the same time.
Doing pianos type situation.
Yeah, but they're playing for each other in this musical. It's really
cool.
Those are kind of things I'd like to do.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, a lot of my bucket list shows I've gotten to do.
Yeah. Was The Judge one of yours?
Sweeney was more of the one I wanted to do, and I was cast as a judge, and that turned out to be my favorite because it's really gross and evil. Hard to sing and difficult material. Yeah. And it wasn't one of those roles where a lot of people wanted to come up and hug me afterwards because they hated me. And the song is really disturbing.
Yeah.
Sondheim has a habit of writing music that is the most disturbing topics are the most hauntingly beautiful melodies. So I think, more Sweeney. I'd like to do Sweeney, but maybe The Judge again.
Yeah. That's what I think.
Favorite one actually was Cladwell in Urinetown.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I think that my favorite moment, just having listened through Sweeney a few times, is during the Joanna Quartet, I believe, when Sweeney is talking about how sad he is, and he's like, "I'm fine, Joanna, I'm fine." Clunk, and then you just hear the bodies dropping in the casket.
Yep.
That's such dark humor, and it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I love doing that. I love doing that show. I actually went through a period when I lived in San Francisco. I was doing hair, and I had a hand injury, so I wasn't playing piano for about 5 years. I was traveling around teaching hair color. And artistically was kind of dying. But the salon I worked at was across the street from the American Conservatory Theater's school. And they had an open program. They had their MFA program, but they had an open program for the public. And so I went and took every acting class, every dialect class, singing classes, movement, musical theater, voice and speech, everything that I could. And then I went back out in the audition circuit, but I didn't tell anyone I was a pianist or a musical director. Because otherwise I would get pigeonholed and I'd be stuck behind the piano, which I love and I'm great at, but I wanted more work as an actor. So I just didn't tell anyone I played the piano. That's when I got Sweeney and Archie and Dr. Craven, The Secret Garden, and I did Dr. Parker and Bat Boy, and I did another Dr. Baby. I play a lot of doctors or bad people. But it really helps to take the acting in your text work to help you with your singing as a musical director.
Okay. This is a little bit off topic, but kind of to my next question. How long of runs have your career like typically been? Like, do shows that because I know Cabaret lasted like 2 months. Is that typical throughout your career of like 2-month runs, or is it like 3-week runs?
I was supposed to have a 6-week run starting yesterday.
Yeah.
That'd be 6-month run, actually.
Okay.
I was a 6-month run. I was going to be doing Desperate Measures, conducting and playing for that show at Utah Shakespeare Festival. Typically, when I work with Arizona Theater Company, it's a 3-month contract.
Okay.
So it's about a month of rehearsals, staging, and tech, a month of performing in Tucson, and then the entire show transfers to Phoenix for a month there. So it depends upon the regional company, but most regional companies are 2 to 3 month contracts.
Okay.
And then any kind of festivals like Oregon Shakespeare Festival, where my friend is the music supervisor, they have 10-month contracts for their shows. So they're doing Peter and the Starcatcher right now, and they canceled it. They canceled their season, but it was to be a 10-month contract. Okay. So some of the bigger Shakespeare festivals don't do just Shakespeare; they'll do other shows as well, and musicals, because it brings in money. And so typically those festivals are 4, 6, 8, or 10 months.
Okay. So then on that, with longer runs, do you read reviews? And if so, have they ever affected your own opinion about a show that you were working on?
It's been nice talking to you. Bye. I'm human. Of course they affect you. And you want to not, because here's the thing. People have told me this, and I didn't believe them until it happened to me. If you believe the good ones, bad ones, you can't believe the good ones, because you have to believe the bad ones. Mm-hmm. You have to take it with a grain of salt that it's one person's opinion. It's not necessarily fact or your truth. So there's been reviews where I've just been lavished with praise. And then there's been reviews where it wasn't as nice. I was doing one of my dream roles, Archie in the Secret Garden, and it was the most taxing, emotional role I've ever done. Gorgeous singing, gorgeous cast. And the reviewer just didn't like me personally, as she left me out entirely, and I was the lead. She didn't even mention my name. That hurt me more than any kind of negative review. I haven't had really a negative review, just ones that said typically it's reviewers who don't come from the theater world, but they'll say, well, they don't like the show itself. They don't like the writing. Well, I have nothing to do. I didn't write. I didn't write the music. I'm just performing it.
Yeah.
So you have to take reviews with a grain of salt, because I have seen people just be devastated. I personally have been devastated, once or twice, and you need to be able to shut that off and go on stage and not let that affect the process. You shouldn't change your show because of one person's opinion.
Yeah.
Deliver the show you rehearsed.
Yeah.
And honor your director.
Yeah. I'm going to skip the next question that I had on there for you, just because we've kind of talked about that a little bit. We have a few questions thrown into the chat. Hannah Valdez asked, where did you study music?
I went the back way. I studied privately. So I used to study, I find musicians who I really admired. When I was in high school, I studied with the pianist from the Tucson Symphony, and he taught me everything. I had a couple scholarship opportunities, at the University of Arizona, one, and was offered a double majored piano and voice, and the second time I applied was for a company. But at the time, I couldn't afford to go to school even on scholarship and support myself. So I was already working in the theater as a musician. So what I did is I just studied with the teachers who taught at universities. So if they taught at a university or a conservatory, I studied with them. And even when I went to San Francisco, I'd see a pianist who I admired, and I would go and listen to him and buy the albums and go to concerts. And I just took a chance and called him up and said, "Can you coach me?" And so basically, I would just kind of be ballsy and go up to these people. Flute. I went up to the principal flutist of the San Francisco Symphony, and he took me on. So be fearless. So, I took classes at American Conservatory Theater. It's a program called Studio ATC. But as far as music, I just studied privately with those people because I, at the time, I couldn't afford when I was young to go to school and support myself. But I have all the education of anyone who's had a master's degree because I've been doing it, and I took all the classes by default. For example, when I worked at the university, I was a musical director there, but I was the staff pianist, so I sat in every single theater class there was. So I went through the BFA program every single year there. Yeah. So it's possible to do it without the degree. I just paid out of my own pocket and studied with people who were teaching.
Okay. And then is there anything that you are doing to try and stay artistically active during this crazy time that we live in right now, especially if you're quarantined at your house or anything like that?
Lots of wine.
That's artistically active.
It's a challenge staying motivated during this time. I have lots of friends who are doing the Zoom remote concerts and this and that. And not all of us work that way. And that's okay. You have to honor where you are. This is an incredibly difficult time for all of us. And we don't all cope the same way. Mm-hmm. Some people pour all their work into composing. A friend of mine who's composing a new musical right now during this pandemic. I have other friends putting on concerts. I am pulling out some music that is not musical theater. That some classical stuff and some jazz flute. I think it's really wise to take this opportunity to step out of your wheelhouse and experiment with things that you normally wouldn't have been comfortable with. This is the time to do it. Take some risks. Try something new that you haven't thought of. And so I'll sometimes just sit down and play through some music just to kind of inspire myself. So it's not the job.
Yeah.
When I'm on a job, I'm doing that same show for 3 months. But that doesn't necessarily feed me artistically.
Yeah.
But I think we need to do something to have self-care during this time. Taking a long walk with your dog, taking a bath, organizing things, because it's really easy to spiral down into a sinkhole. We're a special breed, us theater artists, because we can be more sensitive than most people, and things really hit us hard. I've seen a lot of my friends kind of spiral down out of control, and others who are just using this positively. So it's different for all of us.
All right, and I'm very interested to hear your answer to this question. If someone made your life into a movie, who would play you?
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin. A lot of times when I don't have the beard, a lot of people say I look like Alec Baldwin because we both have angry eyes, and we're both middle-aged guys who have resting bitch face and angry eyes all the time. All right. But yeah, I'd have him play me because he's really funny.
All right. And then I'll just random question from your last answer. What's the last piece of music that you played?
It was the Claude Bolling jazz suite for flute and piano.
Were you playing on flute or piano?
Both. I recorded it. I played it and recorded it on the keyboard, and then I played it back and played it on flute. So I accompanied myself. Making
a duet.
I want to do that. I want to do that a little bit more.
Yeah. All right. And then time for the special round. of a lightning round of weird nonsense questions. If I can get my virtual background here. Ta-da.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to throw 20 seconds up on the clock on my phone. You can't really see it, but and then we're going to see how many we get through. Probably not as many as I would like to, since there's going to be a delay, but
there's a delay up here with me.
If we want to ask a few more, we can. All right. 3, 2, 1. What's your favorite show right now?
Sweeney Todd.
Dog or cat?
Dog.
Favorite board game?
Monopoly.
Do you know how to salsa?
Yes, it's delicious.
What superpower would you want?
Fly.
Favorite holiday?
Ooh. Was that it?
Yeah, what's your favorite holiday, though?
My favorite holiday, I don't have one. I don't like holidays.
You don't like holidays?
I don't like holidays.
What?
I don't like holidays.
Weird.
All the gifts and all that. Maybe New Year's.
Maybe New Year's?
Yeah, Leap Day. We'll say Leap Day.
Leap Day. There you go.
That's my favorite holiday. I only have to deal with it once every 4 years.
All right. Well, thank you to everyone who came and watched this. And if you missed any part of it, it will be up on the Blank Conversations YouTube page at some point. Thank you very much to Mike Padilla.
Thank you.
Everyone applaud in your own home. Thank you. Thank you.
Best wishes to everyone.
Yeah.
Stay strong during this. Do something artistic. Do something good for yourself.
And stay safe. And also, we would like to say, if you are able to right now, please donate to the Actors Fund or any other nonprofit charity like that who is trying to help artists in this time. All right.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much, Mike.
All right. Bye.
Bye.